talking for hours.
Oh no, we need water. Well, with that introduction, I am Alex Lajas. I'm the Queen of the Ring, and I'm here with the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler. You know, I like to more think of it like you're the Queen of Warhammer.
I mean, I'll take that too. If I could be the celebrity representative of like the nerdism that is Warhammer, I'll do that. I can't beat out Henry Cavill, I suppose, but I could beat him up probably.
I definitely believe that you can, actually.
Henry Cavill, me, you, submission only. If I win, I get to be in your TV show. Hey, hashtag Shayna for Warhammer.
Dude, I just got goosebumps. That's so real. All right, so how do I get into Warhammer? Like, where would someone start?
So, I am biased. So there's Warhammer 40K, and there's like historic Warhammer 30K, which is like the history of 40K, obviously.
Yeah.
But 30K is all the Horus Heresy. So I would start reading the first 3 books of the Horus Heresy series, and then there are short stories written about each of the original 2018 Primarchs. That's an in joke for Warhammer fans.
Ha ha ha.
But that's kind of where I would point you to start. But really, if you take like an omnibus of a trilogy and read that, you're gonna start anywhere and then kind of gravitate. It's a lot like D&D. There's so much. It's hard to point in one direction of where to start, but once you get into it, you'll start being like, I like these guys, I hate these guys, and you can follow these threads of lore. But yeah, I'm partial to the Horus Heresy and 30K, really. So that's what all my gears are based after, the original 2018 armies.
Oh, okay. Cool. They're like the little figurines too, right?
Yeah,
that you like paint?
Miniatures. Yeah, I paint miniatures. That's nerdy. It's kind of like meditative, I guess. So you paint your miniatures and you play like a tabletop game. I don't have time necessarily to play the tabletop game. I like to paint special characters now, but yeah.
See, I'm the same way with Gundams. Like, I love building the kits, you know?
It's exactly like that. Like you get there's people that just paint for fun. Mm-hmm. There's people that paint and play. There's people that do both. It's just like that.
Yeah. And I love when we talk about like nerd culture, because back at WrestleMania last year, we talked a lot about Star Wars and like the Star Wars novels as well. So you're on the dark side, right? You're more leaning towards the dark side.
Leaning gray, probably, yeah.
Okay. So if you were a Sith Lord, what would your Sith name be?
It's a great question. I mean, oh man. It's difficult because there are so many badasses. Like Asajj Ventress is a powerful dark side user, but she doesn't have like a Darth name, right? So I don't know. Maybe I would just be known as the Queen of Spades. Maybe that would be just my Star Wars lore name.
Red lightsaber. What would like the design be? Would you go like Darth Maul with the double-ended?
Nah, I kind of like dual wielding, Cal Kestis style. I dabbled a little bit in some Kali, which is like 2 stick fighting. So I feel like I would be all right with that. 1 or 2, you know, depending on the situation calls for it. I have to whip out the other one, but yeah.
Are you bringing that skills into the Royal Rumble this week?
Kali skills with kendo sticks? I don't know. Has anyone ever done that in a Rumble?
There's
not
always a first.
Rumble, not a women's Rumble, right?
Yeah. Gotta tie that in.
I gotta break my own record. You know what I mean? So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love your career. I love where you started, and you started really, really dominant and went over to Japan and worked in Stardom. So how was that like working with that roster at the time?
Man, so what a stacked roster Stardom had at that time. You had Kairi there, and Io was there, and you know, all the girls, these legends from Stardom now. I think like wrestling in Japan was my favorite part of my pre-WWE wrestling life, because I think it was like a full circle moment for me. Billy Robinson opened a school there, a catch wrestling school called the Snake Pit. and I got to go train at the Snake Pit, and I'm like lacing up my boots, and I'm like, holy smokes! Like Lou Thez and Billy Robinson were sparring on these mats, and it was this sort of a spiritual coming of age moment for me, where I was like, I'm in Japan doing this, just like my coaches before me, my forefathers.
I mean, going into the Star Wars.
Yeah. And the hologram of Billy was sitting on the chair saying, "Do it again."
Well, what was like some lessons that you learned in Japan that you're putting into your craft today?
So the Japanese audience obviously very different than the American audience. They're quiet for a lot of the match, and I think just being comfortable with my style, not being this like fireworks ooh and ah, and being comfortable in the quiet, made me more comfortable with my style. I was like anyone. I wanted to fly off stuff and do cool stuff that made the crowd ooh and ah, but knowing that my stuff is actually pretty unique, and the crowd being quiet isn't bad. It's when the crowd is murmuring and they're in their phones and they're talking to each other. That's more along where you don't want to go. But like it definitely made me more comfortable with my style and realizing they come when it matters.
Yeah. And the pageantry over there, like the gear is out of control.
Crazy. So Utami came to train with me, right? And she just recently like does a new finisher, and she named it after me. Total respect, because I taught it to her. But I'm like watching her matches all the time, and I'm like, oh, does she have a cooler entrance than me? That's messed up, right? Yeah, it's awesome over there. I love this, especially so like I feel like the Stardom roster now is having a resurgence in talent as well. Really good group of girls going on over there. Yeah, can't wait for them to come here and beat them up.
For you to just beat them all up. But yeah, the pageantry there is so high, the gear is so good. So, we're on the road to WrestleMania, and I have to ask, what is your favorite WrestleMania gear of all time in the past that somebody else has worn?
You can't. But that somebody else has worn? I wore Night Lords last year. Night Lords flay their enemies and display them flayed to scare future enemies. That's
intimidating,
Yeah, the Night Haunter is pretty intimidating. So I don't know if I can say anyone else besides me wearing Night Lord's gear last year.
That's fair. I mean, don't fix what ain't broke, I guess,
Who flays their enemies? No one else. That's terrifying.
Exactly. Well, 2K24 was just announced. How are we feeling about the game, the rating?
I mean, we'll see, right, when it comes out. But I will say this. I'm going to be disappointed if, I'm the only person in combat sports to submit Ronda Rousey. That's got to mean something.
That deserves a 96, 97 rating.
That's got to mean something. And my submission stat better be maxed out.
It better. Are you listening, 2K24? It better be, dude.
I'll go yell.
Yeah. Go yell at them. Go beat them up if you got it, man. All right. Got to end the interview with this. Top 5 favorite video games of all time.
Ooh. Okay, so this is going to be a different answer every time. So I got to say Last of Us, the series. Can I say that? So it doesn't take up 2 slots. By the way, I'm Team Abby. For all you people. That's going to stir up some people in the comments.
Okay.
She wasn't wrong. I think BioShock. The original BioShock, that speech at the end, come on. A slave obeys. A man chooses, a slave obeys. I think Final Fantasy VII, my first game that got me emotionally. Mass Effect. And the 5th one is always the rotating door one, right? I'm gonna go with. Oh man, what have I said already? BioShock,
Mass Effect,
Last of Us,
Final Fantasy.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, dude. Yeah, see, I gotta play that because it just came out on the Switch. So I'm behind.
Totally worth it. And they're remaking it, which it's going to take years. They announced they're remaking it, so I can't wait. That game's great.
Maybe some voice acting in the future.
Hashtag Shayna for Star Wars?
Hey, there we go. call up Disney. What's up?
Call up Henry and Disney and tell them I'm in.